It's springtime, which means it's time to get planting and start growing some of our own food. Jonathan has just finished tweaking all of my irrigation for this kitchen garden, and we decided today we want to show you exactly how you can build this PVC irrigation system. It doesn't cost very much money, it's super simple, and it is my favorite because I can come out here in 1 hour, I can have this entire kitchen garden weeded and irrigated and harvested. That is a beautiful thing. So join us.
Hey, Provident Preppers, I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Kylene. And per your request, we are going to show you exactly how Jonathan makes the PVC watering system that we water our kitchen garden with. Now, there's a few reasons why I really like this system. The first one is just because I go out and each one of the beds has to be watered separately, but I just turn it on and each one of them might give, 6 to 10 minutes depending on it, and I weed. And so within an hour, I have my entire garden weeded, I've got things harvested, and it's all watered. And that's all it takes every time I do it. I love this because it just works so nice and fast. And Jonathan has built it to be perfect.
Well, we're working on perfection, but there are other systems that you can use, but this one waters so fast and it waters a nice wide width. And so it covers the cropping area that she's wanting to get covered, and it does it really fast.
And I prefer this garden, our production garden, is actually on drip. And I much prefer this method to drip. But one of the disadvantages to this is it has to be level. And my production garden is a little bit more complicated. And so we weren't able to do it there. Maybe someday. But the other thing, one thing that's bad about this is you really couldn't put it on a timer and leave it.
Right.
Where the drip system, you can totally put it on automatic timer and have it do its thing. So I guess there's pros and cons to both of them. So Jonathan, talk to us a little bit about the system.
Okay, it's mostly just kind of like playing with Tinker Toys, except I could never cut my Tinker Toys when I was little, but PVC pipe's inexpensive and you just cut it to whatever length you need and you make it fit your world. So parts that you need, obviously the pipe, you need a valve for shutting things on and off, obviously other tools like the T's and the elbows, and we use a lot of these unions to join the pipes together. And then you'll need some way to connect it up to a hose. In this case, I've just got a 3/4 inch slip fitting with a pipe fitting on the other end. And then I use this brass. I like the brass because they don't leak, unlike the ones that swivel. So I don't use the plastic, I use the brass. And this just converts a pipe thread to a hose thread. And so the hose can go right in here and it just runs the entire system. And it does a great job. And of course you need PVC glue for gluing some of it together. And we'll talk about some parts you put together with glue, others you don't. But we'll talk about that here in a minute.
So the only tool that I really need is a drill and a cutter. I need my PVC cutter.
Yep, you need a PVC cutter or a saw. You can use a little chop saw, but the PVC cutters are faster. A 1/16 inch drill bit, and you want that drill bit long enough to go through both sides, and we'll talk about that here in a minute.
Now, when it came to drilling the holes, Jonathan, with his beautiful engineer mind, needed to make sure that he could drill them absolutely perfectly and need to be really efficient because you had to drill thousands of holes.
Yeah, I don't know how many. I didn't count them because I don't like to count stuff like that because it's like, when am I getting done? You just jump in and do it.
It was a lot of holes. And so he created this masterpiece so that he could do it quickly and efficiently. Why don't you introduce us to your masterpiece?
Okay, I just created this jig. PVC pipes are 10 feet long. I got a 10-foot 2x4, and I put these little side rails on, little blocks to hold in. This will hold 3 PVC pipes, and then I just put them in there. I put some screws out just a little bit here so that I could put these rubber bands on that. Just helps hold things in place.
The rubber bands, where did you get those rubber bands? They look like they were mine.
Broccoli.
Broccoli?
Broccoli.
Actually, celery.
Yeah, any kind of produce from the market that has these little nice rubber bands. Those are the perfect size.
Asparagus.
Okay, asparagus. Yes, asparagus. Anyway, I can fit 3 pipes in there, and usually what I did, I put 1 in there. Well, I put 3 in there. I made 1 master, and then I could go through and just, this back one is the master in this case. I put these on 5-inch spacing. Now you can do 5-inch, 6-inch, 4-inch, whatever works for your garden and whatever crops you're growing, you use that kind of spacing. Then I just have these pipes in here. I have the master right here, and then I can just go along and I can drill this, and I'm drilling a hole on the top and the bottom because we want that water coming out the sides. And so it just worked out super well that I can just drill. So it took a lot of the time out of it, and Mama for some reason didn't want me doing this on her countertop. No. So that's why the board, that's why the jig, and it made it really easy to do this.
Now, one of the things that we found is the more holes, the shorter your run has to be in order to efficiently deliver that water. So let's take them into the garden and show how you designed it in there so that they can see that.
Okay. Let's just quickly walk through the system here. This is where the hose comes into the system. So I've got the hose coming in here. You can see that brass fitting right here, and the slip adapter that has the pipe thread that connects to this brass connector. Then we go into the system, and you can see we come right into here. In this case, we've got this aisleway, and we've got 3 beds on each side. So I just put a T here that runs this line, and then over here with an elbow that runs that line. And so everything's connected. Then right here, for each bed, we come up with a T, then a valve, then an elbow, and a manifold here. And everything up to and including this manifold is glued. And then the rest of those lines, the actual irrigation lines, are not. They are just dry fitted together, and they hold just fine. There's not enough pressure to blow them apart, which makes it super easy for any adjustments that we need to make or any changes. And you can see right here, this is how adaptable this system is. When I stole one of Mama's little garden beds here so that we could put in our solar power tower, we ended up concreting this section. This used to be garden, so now it's not. So we just took out the pipe in here that had the holes and just replaced it with solid pipe so that we then get down to these beds that do need water. So it's just super adaptable. Whatever we need to do to adjust it, it's just super simple. So at the end of each of the irrigation lines, we're just using a plain slip cap. It just slides on there. And again, you don't need to glue it. There's not enough pressure to blow it off. In many cases, you're just going to have all these lines be the same, and you'll just drill them that way. In this case, we have these kind of supports right here. And so I didn't put any holes in here because it didn't make any sense to have water running out on this. So I custom designed these so you would mark your pipe so that I have a hole here and a hole here, but nothing in between. Just a couple of other factors that will play into your design, and that's something that you'll have to experiment a little bit with. You can notice our lines are on these cross members, which sets them up just a little higher, which means that spray can go out a little bit further. As far as the length of the runs, for us, about 25 feet is just right to get nice coverage. The longer the runs, sometimes at the end they kind of don't perform quite as well, but 25 feet for us with our water pressure at 45 psi seems to be ideal. So you may have to play with that just a little bit. Your hole spacing is going to factor into that as well. We're using a 5-inch, which I think is really good, but depending on what crops you're growing, you may want to change that. As far as the operation of the system, very simple. When we're ready, we just turn on the water. Of course, it comes, all the valves are off except for one. So, for example, when this valve's open, no water's going anywhere else except into this bed. And we usually do that for 6 to 10 minutes, depending on Mama's mood. And then when we're ready, we come to the next valve, turn it on, turn this one off, and then the water will flow up to this one and likewise over to here. And then when we're done there, I usually come around this side, turn that one on and work our way back. And we work our way through that system. We have had on occasion, and again, this is part of the beauty of this, is a valve will get hit with a mower or just wears out. Super simple to just cut it out, put in a new one, and off we go again. As far as maintenance, it's really very, very simple. When I first built this, I thought, okay, I'll mark all my pipes. I'll take everything apart in the fall and put it back in the spring well. We don't do tilling or anything in these beds, so there's no need to do that. And after doing it once, I thought, this is ridiculous. It took a lot of time and frustration trying to get every pipe right. So this system just stays in place. In the fall, we drain out whatever water we can. Obviously in the irrigation lines, nothing's going to break because that's not full of water. Drain as much as we can out of the rest of the system and everything's fine. And if we do have a little issue, maybe something happens to one of the lines, it's very simple to fix. But fall, putting it to bed is simple. In the spring, I like to blow out each of the lines, so I just take off the cap at the end. I put this onto the front of the irrigation line, turn on my valve, and I've got full pressure. I just blast everything out of the, and there's not much in there. There's a little bit of dirt and dust builds up in there, but nothing serious. And then it just kind of cleans out all the holes for irrigation. And then I can turn that off and move it to the next line. Just takes me a couple of minutes to go through each bed and make sure all the lines are cleaned and ready to go. And then I will go down each of the lines and make sure they're straight. Sometimes they get a little skewed, especially as I'm pulling that off to blow out the line. So I just put all the lines back on, go down and just kind of tweak them just a little bit to make sure the water's coming out nice and evenly, as opposed to, having it skewed. So very simple to put to bed, very simple to use in the spring and to get tuned up. We're doing this in early spring, so you can see all of these pipes, but if you come back here in a couple of months, most of the pipes will magically disappear because they'll be covered with lots of beautiful, bountiful plants that are providing food for us. Now for the question of the day. What questions do you have about this system, and what irrigation systems have you used that have worked well? Share with us. And thanks for being part of the solution.